Hi, this is your SAT writing coach, and I wanted to take you through the writing sections of at least 2 or 3 exams to show you the types of questions that you will be faced with. This is a really good exercise because you'll get to see that the test is very redundant and there are certain skills that you need to know. The worst thing you can do to prepare for this test is to try to do what's called test prep by simply focusing on each question on different exams. While that'll help you, it will not help you to prepare for questions you have not seen yet. So the best way to prepare for this test is to analyze the types of questions that you'll be asked, and then go and learn the sub-skills that are required to master those types of questions. Well, without further ado, let's take a look and see. The first thing you'll notice, let me point this out to you, is that for some questions, you will have what's called expression of ideas. Okay? And that will be about structure. It'll really be about how sentences are arranged within the sentence and also the connections between sentences. But also you'll have what the SAT calls errors in sentence structure or even punctuation. And again, this is going to be the use of grammatical, really grammatical knowledge. How well do you know grammar? How well do you know the parts of speech? How well do you understand punctuation and the flow of movement through a particular passage? So you're going to be asked to analyze paragraphs. You're going to be asked to restructure ideas to put them in more logical order. And you're also going to be asked to find errors within sentences and also between them. So let's take a look then at the types of questions you will find on this SAT. Okay, so here's a passage. The first passage is called Way to Go. And let's scroll down to see where the errors are. So let's take a look at, we're going to focus specifically on the types of errors that are grammatically related, okay? All right, let's take a look at number 6. It says yogurt manufacturers, food scientists, and government officials are also working together to develop additional solutions for reusing whey. And when I take a look at this type of question, or I've highlighted it here for you, and it's attached to, let's say, number 4, okay, you'll see yogurt manufacturers, food scientists, and you'll see a semicolon here, and government officials. Well, that's what's in question. When you look over here, you're going to see that the choices are going to be no change, scientist with a colon, scientist with a comma, and scientist with a comma, and then and. This is a punctuation question. This is a punctuation question. You'll see these on the SAT over and over again. Testing your knowledge of commas, semicolons, and specifically colons. So colons, commas, and semicolons are a big part of this exam. Get to know the rules for commas and colons and semicolons. Because if you know just the rules for those 3, you'll be able to master this specific type of question and gain sometimes 10 to 20 points on the exam. So if we look at this, we'll see that yogurt manufacturers, food scientists, and government officials, well, the problem here is obviously, or I should say not so obviously, the semicolon shouldn't be here. This should be a comma because it is a series, a list, you see? And whenever there's a list, you want to have commas that separate this list of nouns or items, manufacturers, food scientists, comma, and government officials. Well, this would be the correct choice, and you don't want to have a comma after and. There's no need for that. It makes a sentence into an incorrect grammatical sentence. That doesn't make sense, okay? So you want to focus then on knowing the rules for punctuation, commas, colons, and semicolons. You might want to jot that down, but those are the 3 you'll be looking at, okay? All right. So the correct answer for this problem here would be obviously C, okay? Because it has the correct rule. It's got the comma that separates the items in a list. All right, let's move on. So that's your punctuation error. Okay. Let's take a look at another error. And by the way, there's so many different types of questions on this test. I'm only focusing right now on errors that are based on usage, standard grammar, or what's called the conventions of English. And the SAT is big on you understanding that English has certain rules. And they want you to know those rules. Maybe not the ones you learn in school, but certainly the ones that are on the Common Core exams that follow you all the way now from elementary school. And these are the rules of conventional English, standard English. That's what I'm focusing on in this brief video, because they're all through the exams. Let's take a look at, let's see here, what we're going to look at next. Okay, number 7. So nutritionists consider Greek yogurt to be a healthy food. It is an excellent source of calcium and protein. Serves to be a digestive aid. Okay. Well, what's wrong with this picture here? Well, nutritionists consider Greek yogurt to be a healthy food. And here's a good use of a colon, because a colon will introduce a clause that explains or defines or clarifies what comes before it. It is an excellent use of calcium and protein, serves blank a digestive aid, and it contains few calories in its unsweetened, low, and non-fat forms. The correct word here would be as. Serves as a digestive aid. Okay? And again, there are rules that govern the use of the word as. Okay? That's incorrect. Let me get this right here. Okay? All right. Okay. So as is the correct answer for this one here. B. All right, good. Now, why that's the case? Well, we're going to look at that in our upcoming segments. But know this, that to be is the improper use of the verb. This infinitive verb does not work here. As functions best as a conjunction that joins these elements. Okay? All right. Let's move on to our next grammatical problem here. And so that's a sentence structure issue. Let's take a look at another type. And by the way, look at number 8. That's also sentence structure. Okay? And it contains few calories in its unsweetened form. Okay? We're going to look at that again in another video about sentence structure. But I want you to see just an overview of the types of errors that you'll be looking at. So you have sentence structure errors. Number 9. Also, because it is more concentrated, Greek yogurt contains slightly more protein per serving, thereby helping people stay, and the last line here will be satiated. Okay, but this is the key here. And again, the SAT will focus on this word also. Let's see if I can highlight that for you here. Yeah, also. This is what's called a transitional element. It is a way of connecting the thoughts before this sentence with the thoughts in this sentence, or the thought in this sentence. And the exam makers want to see if you understand the concept of transition. Can you move from one thought in a sentence to another and establish a logical relationship? And you see, these are your choices here for number 9. In other words, therefore, for instance, these are all ways of transitioning from one sentence to another. These are phrases or words that connect sentences, and they're replete through the SAT exam. Here, you would have to understand that this particular word also creates a transition of addition, a relationship where one sentence is adding information to another. However, these elements down here, these words and phrases, create different relationships, therefore creates a cause and effect relationship, okay? You don't want that. That would not be correct. So let's eliminate that. Therefore would not be right there, okay? For instance, creates an example relationship. That wouldn't be right either. In other words, also creates an example relationship. That too would be incorrect. But you see so far, what have you seen? You've seen errors with sentence structure. Sentence structure appears twice here. You've seen an error in punctuation, okay? Now the correct answer for this is also, there is no change here, right? Simply because that connects, this connection expresses the right relationship. So now without further ado, having just given you a brief overview of the types, let me show you how much they appear on these exams. If I move to number 10, I see again another punctuation error. If I scroll down and I look at this passage here, I see errors with what's called sentence combining, establishing relationships between sentences. I see transitions once again. However, as such, moreover, again, looking at relationships between sentences. In number 15, there's a punctuation error. In number 16, there's a punctuation error. If I look at number 17 on this exam, I see another error with sentence structure. Number 18 requires me to know about verbs and verb forms. Number 19 requires me to know about pronouns. Hope you're getting the picture of how much grammar you need to know to master this exam. And every other question is related to grammar. I'm just using the specific ones that you can say, hey, there's a rule for that. The others are going to be applications of those rules. Look at number 24, sentence structure, dangling modifier. Well, this is a really interesting one, right? 24 says, having become frustrated, trying to solve difficult problems, no colleagues were nearby to share ideas. Well, the problem here is that this particular structure, which is called a participle structure, having become frustrated trying to solve difficult ideas, is acting as an adjective. It's describing a subject, but the subject is not correctly stated here. Right after the participle, the subject must appear. Who is becoming frustrated? Not no colleagues. The person becoming frustrated is the subject who is speaking. So the correct answer for 24, or I should say the problem with 24, is that the adjective is there, but the subject is not placed directly after the adjective. This is what's called a dangling modifier, and again it has to do with sentence structure. The correct answer in this case would be D. Why? Because D lists a subject that is actually being referred to by this participle phrase. And I know I'm throwing words out to you like participles and clauses and modifiers, but these are the types of terms you have to become familiar with. Look at number 25, prepositions. Oh my goodness, I don't know when's the last time I've studied prepositions. Well, you're going to have to know them for this exam. Number 26 deals with the issue of punctuation again. Number 27, transitional elements. Are you beginning to get the picture now? Number 29 is the application of graphing, which is okay. But look at 32, again, a punctuation question. 34, another transitional element. 36, verb forms. 38, transitions. That's the problem in 38. 39, how to combine sentences. 40, verb forms. 41, punctuation. Okay? And 44, finally, pronouns. Well, if you were to zip back through this test very quickly in the last minute that we have or so, you will see that you have to be able to master the conventions of standard English. You have to know the terminologies of grammar. There is no way to fake this. There's no way to find strategies without knowing the grammatical terms that are being tested. Let's run through it very quickly again. Number 4, punctuation. Again, you'll see sentence structure questions, how to relate sentences and clauses to each other, transitions, how to combine sentences in logical relationships, punctuation again, sentence combining, transitions, punctuation. You get the picture, sentence structure, verbs, pronouns. Sentence structure, prepositions, knowing how they affect sentences, transitions again, punctuation, transitions, verb forms, transitions, and sentence combining, verb forms, punctuation. You get the picture. Someone would say to me, well, is this true for all of the exams? Yes, they are. All of the SAT writing sections are identical. The only difference is the focus on different elements. But grammar is the key to success on this test.